Welcome
Right, in and of itself.
to Hammock Park. I don't know a lot of history about this park. I think maybe in the future of the expeditions I may do some research, or may not. It's also fun just to really tap into what wants to be shared with us. So this is an expedition to learn about, first and foremost, ley lines. And ley lines are actually, to some people, they're made up, they're imaginary, whereas others, I would say in the last 100 years, whereas others clearly see that these magnetic lines that in a definition would be like straight lines joining historical structures, typically churches, like Stonehenge, any kind of pyramids, even mounds, valleys, and so we do have a church here. We have a St. Andrew's Church right there that I'm going to kind of reference a little bit because it's so called, a church and somewhat of a historical structure. I think it's even listed as a historical structure. But these lines, these magnetic lines, these ley lines are also in different cultures called different things. So they're called, to the Aborigines, the song lines, where they easily reference song lines, are easily able to tap into your ancestors and hear your ancestors' words of wisdom. In the Chinese culture, they call them dragon lines and are a lot of times used with feng shui. And so dragon lines typically, if you're also looking at the energetic dragons that we all are archetypally connecting into different aspects of ourselves, sometimes you're realizing that there's this bigger dragon energy, and it's coinciding with the dragon lines, which is usually a straight line in a valley that has a powerful amount of energy building up. And a lot of times they would actually build mounds or structures in front of them to break up that energy because it was so powerful. So song lines. Did I say song lines? Yeah, song lines, ley lines, dragon lines. So those are the typical things you're possibly going to hear about. And then also when we're working with Dan Winter's consciousness, that he brings about the understanding of gravity and how do we really start to access the song lines, these bigger lines of energy. We actually tap into the longitudinal wave. So our soul is a longitudinal wave. It's a wholeness, whereas we've been in the past talking a lot about transverse wave, like me speaking is a transverse wave, it's coming out. But when we are accessing the full totality of all waves, it's this longitudinal field of pure space consciousness ether. And in ether, in the longitudinal waves, there's nodal points that Dan talks about, that these vortexing nodal points that you're able to easily teleport to. So, we start to study teleportation in our classes, and we realize that the latitude lines of world lines also, that crossover vortex points or nodal points are also really easy to get really big, right? When we lay on the therapy or we access through meditation, we get grounded. When we get really big as that longitudinal field of our soul and spirit, right? All souls connecting together as one big spirit, we can easily close our eyes, feel the feeling of what it feels like to go to Kansas City. And you can pop into one of those nodal points and teleport there and then rematerialize. So you would go out of phase into a wave and then get good at moving your whole vessel, or at least etherically show up at one of those nodal points at Kansas City, which is your coordinates of vision, intention and feeling of what it feels like to be in Kansas City. We also know this is when we go beyond to like Venus, or different places when you're traveling into different star systems. And again, most of the times people are just like, you're in a meditation, we're doing a meditation, you're like, yeah, I saw it, there was like this unicorn, or, there was these light beings all around me, and you really are there, you really have teleported yourself or put yourself into that space.
The military calls it remote viewing.
Sure, there's another aspect.
And they had a complete division that studied and trained it. exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So this assignment, this expedition is like us getting used to finding the ley lines in an area, magnetic lines, finding the vortexes, where these magnetic lines, ley lines cross, as well as where the water veins cross, where the water lines cross. So when we're looking at churches, must be somehow included.
Yes.
That's big.
It's frequency.
What is it?
Frequency.
Frequency, yes. So he's adding the
It's
frequency
440.
of the
440.
of the swing going. So when we look at church building, master builders, also Freemasonry work doing building out of cities and maps. When we look at churches, you're typically gonna find a main water vein going from the length of the church. And most churches, when born and built, is what I want to say, they're going to look at east to west. They're going to follow the sun, just like when we work with the equinox, the different bigger structures and pyramids and the Stonehenge and things like that. Master builders knew to kind of follow the energy and gather the energy of that movement of the sun. So you'll typically find churches built where there's a main water vein going east to west, and then there's cross-channel water veins at that main water vein. So you'll see the altar typically has, you're going straight down the church, and they're usually a dome, right, or some sort of polygon structure. And at that point called the apse, where you go to build the altar, there's another water line crossing it. So we're going to, I didn't bring them today, but maybe, Therese, you have some where we can build them with coat hangers, but dowsing rods.
I was going to bring mine.
Right? So next expedition, we're going to go to next Sunday, St. Michael's Shrine, which is real. I went there last week, and it's really, I'm excited to study it because of how I could feel it go to Planck 0 point so fast right when I walked in. I know that it's built on sacred measure. So we can use a pendulum, we can use our body, so muscle testing, we can use our intuition. You can see your hair raise on your arms when you're, on a vortex or on a magnetic line. And again, the vortexing energies are usually where magnetic lines are crossing, where water lines are crossing, where springs are at. So a lot of times churches are built right on a spring head. And even if you're on land, there's still, spring potential. So when I did a walk here the other day, I heard the ancestors, the song echo, like, to do what we're doing today. Like, gather here and come to this meadow that we're going to walk over to. And I'm like, okay.
So do you think that contemporary churches are built with that consciousness in mind, or ancient or ancestral churches?
Both. I feel if they were wise enough and they're following that kind of wisdom and clarity, that the contemporary churches are probably following the same type of, guidelines of where should we put this church. Because on the altar is where we alter reality, and where the main power source is of the building is at that altar. And so you'll also notice that certain churches are working with certain archangel energies as well as Mary energies. The main ones I was looking at this morning are the Mary and Michael energies. And just like the Mary energy is usually working with the green vortex and the green energy that's coming from beneath the building that heals hearts, whereas Michael energies are really working a lot of times with this golden vortex energy that's connecting to the celestials and connecting into higher spaces. So that's a whole nother exciting thing to look at. And deep down inside my being, what we're talking about, I knew there was something we need to look at this, and it's been waves of time where we do drop into this, but why I feel like it's really important right now, why do you guys think it's important that we do this?
Well, for me personally, I came because if I want to be here for New Earth, and I want to participate in the design and the creating, and it's going to begin with altering the reality, seeing it for it is, and just to be that, tuning fork.
Yes. Building the new earth, being the tuning fork, being willing to listen to instructions. You're big, especially when you tap into the longitudinal ray of the ancestors and you realize that you're not just a soul, you're spirit, you're like everything. You're also working with a big sentient being of the earth, you know, Gaia, Sophia, Tara, whatever name, that you're tapping into her aspects of self. So, like, why not get instructions from, you know, the land, and also tapping into who we've been in other timelines? Why did we build certain structures, certain places? Like, what do we want to tell ourselves? What do we want to, like, wake up, hello, remember?
So what is the perfect way of, you know, placing a building? Like your home? I mean, should it be
East, west, you
what,
know.
the door be east and west?
Most feng shui, like I studied Black Hat's feng shui, I think you said that with me. You can place your front door anywhere and still find a way to make it work, but like typical feng shui, you're looking again to face east, your front door, so that you're welcoming the sun, right? And you're greeted with that high sun that you be as a reflection, and you're setting, you know, at the west.
Was this a working church at any time?
Yeah, like I said, I don't really know, but we can study that.
I found it interesting. I can't remember the last time I've ever been to a park where there was a church, unless I was on vacation.
It is.
Call it a heritage church. So it's been around for a long time, and actually my granddaughter, she got married in it.
Oh, cool.
Really? Okay, so
That's awesome.
And that church, you draw a line,
Yes.
across the new church,
There we
St.
go.
Andrews, is like that.
oh,
Okay,
they have
so
another
that's the
Old
ley
church,
line.
original one,
Oh,
new
And the
one.
new one's that way?
interesting.
And also, if you realize that waterway, there's a creek that runs from here straight there. So you've got a water main line literally running church to
Does
church.
that affect somebody's sleep if they're sleep on
Yes.
the water?
Yeah. So typically you're not wanting to sleep on top of water, but yet you're wanting to hold congregation over water because you're that movement, right? And that power and that flow that's then going to the altar to go ahead and alter reality with prayers and intentions.
And what if you can't change the position of your bed? It's still always going to be on a water line. Is there a way to block it?
So that's what we're here to, like, I mean, for me, yes, there's always a fix because
Of
reality, because really when we start to unidentify, like what we're tapping into is like ancient versions of ourselves who like mastered map laying, creating maps. Like there's no space.
Right.
There's no location. We only make up location
Right.
by sum total of us, you know, common belief systems that we create, and then maps that we create and signposts that we put in the ground, and then we call it certain things, and we say, oh yeah, I'm going to Dunedin. And we all agree we're going to Dunedin, and we, you know, pretend that we're moving around.
I'm going to
here.
Costa Rica.
It's what she
You're
talked
right.
about on Friday, actually.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
When you realize that you're the antenna. So when
Yeah.
we met at Nature's Path, uploaded the book, I came here to get grounded. I ran into a guy named Bill, who's the elder at St. Andrew's Church. And we talked, and he looked at me and he said, this is not a coincidence.
Yes. See? And all of it, right? There's no time, but all of that's overlapping what we're doing right now. So we then can kind of, like, even the marriage, and like we can start bringing all these pieces together to have this greater clarity and
But look at what you all had to do as far as grid lines.
Yeah. Okay.
We're supposed to go to the coffee shop. It was closed. We're supposed to go to Ozona Blue. It was closed. We ended up Nature's Path. We
Right,
did
it's
it.
just-
We moved here. I had to have thought. I had to come here and listen to it.
Yeah.
I had to walk that path and walk over there. And then he told me that he was there to feed the homeless.
Right.
Wow.
Right. It was in the dream last night. We were gathering in to bring out from the underground our like primal, like all of our hairs were dyed colors in the dream. We had to bring out our primal, you know, festival kind of self that was like tapped in and going beyond culture, or not culture, but structured society and what it said we had to do. And I think you were like telling me, Lassie, you need to do psilocybin. I need to give you the mushrooms right now. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that right now. Like, I gotta lead this group. And you're like, but you got to, we got to tap into these ley lines in the underworld and what's going on. So, and then that led to, we have to help those who need help that we're not actually seeing in these other planes of existences. And I was saying that we have to see them already helped. And we have to know that this is a dream.
So it's interesting, you said before the Aboriginal lines, they call them song lines.
Yeah.
And they use the song lines, because they actually sing, and they use the song lines to navigate the outback, like where most people just die, as soon as they go out there. But the Aboriginals use those song lines as direction, as guidance, and they ancestrally pass that down. So to me now, I'm like, oh, that's why that popped into my head, because this is the map. This is the guidance that we're supposed to not only learn ourselves, but to pass on.
Yes. And when we put, in one belief system, when we put metal buildings or metal structures on top of these ley lines, it disturbs that ancestral memory and the ability of the ancestors when they pass to easily jump on the line and go and rejoin the longitudinal ray. So, like, again, when I was asking conscious before you guys got here, I was like, well, we're all also redefining things, and we're like making best use of when we put metal structures in places, and just like trumping all that and upgrading our belief system so that we can, not be like, oh my God, we're screwed, we've got all these metal buildings everywhere. And they were like, conscious was like, yeah, of course, like, but that's what you're doing. You have to like find it and open it up with your, consciousness, and then go, oh, this is what this is going to mean right now. And that also came up yesterday when I was sitting I went to my daughter's event, and I was sitting on these metal bleachers all day, and I was blissing out. Like my array was going through it, and I was like, oh my God, this feels amazing. This isn't like, feel like it's cutting my aura or anything. I felt like
amplifying it.
Totally felt so good. And they were reminding me, remember feng shui, you need metal. Like, you need all the frequencies, you need that swing, you need all these things kind of playing together. And it's, again, these overlapping belief systems that sometimes can make us feel like, oh, that's not good, and then you're following like 10 different points of view, and of course nothing's going to be good anymore. So it's ultimately got to come back within of what do you have to see it through the gate of the longitudinal ray where everything's whole, everything's perfect. How are we going to make best use of this? What are we going to define the new earth as? Do you want to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. So,
other than making it play.
Yeah, and make fun.
That was another thing too. I wore my heart, my love,
Yes.
Make sure that I'm reminded I'm just here in love.
Yes.
Whatever that is.
Right. And that's it.
It's you.
We transcend time, and we go faster than the speed of light when we are in love. And when we are in love, that is faster than the speed of light, we occupy the whole thing. As soon as we drop down and start judging it and getting fear and like survival and like, oh my God, we are underneath the speed of light. We're bound to duality. All of a sudden we're just like, like spinning around, like wobbling in a washing machine, and it's not flowing into the longitudinal way. So, did you want to show us something?
You could use...
Come over here. Because I'm filming this.
You can use this kind of like a dowsing rod.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay, so when you cross water or any electric or whatever, it'll point.
It'll go down.
It'll go down. You just hold it there.
Do you want to show us? Because there is a ley line right here.
There is a ley line?
Well, see if you can tap into something. Knowing that that church right there is going to another new church.
Can it be a dead branch?
Just the shape of it. It can just be again, tapping into the longitudinal field of the full experience. You're going to actually find these also magnetic lines. Yeah, energy lines straight, that then when they cross over, you create that vortex and that spin, also called the nodal points. So, if you have a pendulum, let's use the pendulum. Do you have a pendulum? If not, use your body. Muscle testing, bodies.
I have an extra pendulum too.
Okay, and I have a necklace.
No, you can have it.
No, use hers and I'll use her necklace.
No, you're better at the pendulum.
Well, let's work with the pendulum. If
Come
you got an
on,
extra.
Rob.
Come on, Rob.
We're playing.
Look at that.
It's
Come on,
manly.
Rob.
It's not like sparkly.
I was focusing on the body testing thing.
Well, you can do both at the same time. That's what's
I'm gonna fall down.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Look at this thing.
So ask consciousness if you show us our yes. My consciousness, show me my yes. Typically, my yes is a clockwise, as you can see. But your yes may be something different. It could be like a line. Some people's is a line. Let's just make sure everybody's got their yes.
Now, what is making this move? My vibration in my body?
Your spirit, your soul coming down your central channel to your heart energy center, out your arm, out your fingertips.
Which is vibration. Or
A
energy.
stream of energy. Yeah,
Right.
vibration.
Frequency.
Current, electrical current. The soul is electrical. And it's reaching down to magnetic. That's why it's good.
Damn.
And it also pays attention to commands.
Yeah.
Like you tell it, okay, stop. It'll stop.
So now ask it for a no. Consciousness, show me a
Oh, wait, son
no.
of a gun. It worked.
Good. See if you can get the no. It's getting hot.
I got my name.
And then get a maybe. Sometimes some people's maybes is a certain direction line. Sometimes people's maybes is stand still. Let's make sure we got all that. Okay. So
that's interesting. It's just like wiggling.
it's wiggling. Okay.
Like it's not moving, but it's like.
Right. Right.
I guess that's my maybe.
Maybe.
It's kind of fun.
So
Nice pencil.
ask
Yeah.
ask your consciousness if you should be talking to your consciousness for this assignment. If not, there may be the guardians of the land might want to speak. So I'm not supposed to talk to my consciousness. I don't know. What'd you
It's
get?
like maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No.
I think for me, like you said, consciousness and then guardians of the land, and both of them were in my head, and so then like my pendulum's like. Oh,
Right. So now to go to one or the other.
Right.
So are you supposed to talk to guardians of the land? Ask.
Yeah, mine says nature garden.
So you got nature guardians.
Yeah, land.
Oh, this thing went wacko.
Ask if you're supposed to talk to the guardians of the land
Look at
or
this
the
thing.
nature spirits.
I'm not doing
See if
anything.
you can get a yes to one of those.
Yeah.
That's, I think
Look at
everybody's
it.
Yeah,
Thing's
this
gonna
is
fly
mine
out
for
of my
land.
hand.
My
Yeah.
yes.
Land.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not doing
Land.
this. Look at this darn thing. I said land.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Yeah. Look at it. It's
Look how
going.
happy.
Now,
Yeah.
I would like to be saying that I'm
Oh
doing
my
this.
gosh.
Look how
I really
happy.
would.
I know, I was going to say,
We're
I'm
all
so
land.
happy.
You know how people can
Well,
say
and
like,
It's like getting bigger.
But it's like the land that's happy.
You know?
You know,
It's
like,
like,
yay,
yay,
people are going to
yes,
listen.
yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because look at
when you
yours.
say
Yours is
muscle
going
test,
I know.
I have that little bit of doubt in my head that goes, oh yeah, well I just leaned forward or
Yeah.
leaned backward, but I'm not doing this one.
Okay.
This
So
one is
This is
crystal
land too.
clear.
Yeah. This is awesome.
That's pretty funny.
so let's walk over
Look
to
at this.
where it's telling. Okay, so we're going into where the original spot that was asked, or that asked me to actually gather us here. And you can see there's a natural vortex. How can you tell there's a natural vortex? What do you see?
I see an opening.
The trees are overhanging.
Yep. So the trees will always tell you,
And this wasn't formed by cutting trees out.
maybe.
Trees are
I
forming,
doubt it.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Circles.
There would be stumps like that.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
can't cover those up. This is natural.
You can also see
Natural empathy.
when the trees kind of do this triple growth, that's also a sign that there's a big vortex right here and a ley line. So let's see if we can find the center of the vortex right here. Your spin will get really big when you get over the center of the vortex. We've got the nature spirits, the wind, the song of the ancestor, the wind is picking up. Our bigger array is picking up this.
Oh, it's right here. I got it right here.
So see if we can find how big it is. So you could do some questioning to your pendulum. Land, is there a very large vortex here? Yes. Is it more than 10 feet? No. Is it more than 9 feet? Yes. So, do I need to know the exact amount, that exact length? 9. Okay. And now we need to ask some questions. And some of those questions to consciousness, to the land. Who has a question? Let's work together as a group.
Well,
Yes.
before we even came in, I asked, "Is it okay if I come in?"
Okay, so you asked permission to come in, and what'd you get?
I got a yes.
Okay, good, but that's good to know.
I figured it was okay because you were called here last weekend, but
Right.
if in my normal walking and exploring I came upon a natural clearing like this, I would ask, is
Yeah.
it okay if I come in?
Yes.
And making sure that my heart is open and my intentions are pure and that the nature spirits know that I'm just here to commune with them, not to harm or do anything
Right.
along those lines.
Any other questions coming to mind? How about, what does the land want us to know about this clearing? So that will use multiple senses. Use your clairaudience, your claircognizance, and you can ask questions.
So I asked it.
Yeah.
So part of the birthing of this book is rebirthing the new me, which means there's certain things that I totally gave up. Which was the biggest one was doing anything public speaking, playing my guitar, performing my songs. So as I walk around this park, I find all these little places to where Spirit tells me, play here, play there.
Yeah.
People will come.
Yeah.
Don't look for buildings anymore,
Yeah.
because you have to ask permission. All you have to do is ask permission of the land.
Yeah.
I had no idea what the heck was going on. So when I walked into this space, I went like, oh my gosh, it's a natural amphitheater.
Yes.
So I just asked it, should I perform here? And this thing went crazy.
Yes.
In the yes
I
clockwise.
asked what it wanted and it said it's
It's
lonely.
lonely.
So that's where I
lonely.
sat down.
Okay, let's.
There you go. They want people here.
Yeah.
I asked
Because it
and it
doesn't
said,
have that
"Come
vibe
here
that
and
a lot of people
manifest."
come here.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
there's even a little thing, but
Like everybody ignores it.
So we've gotten come manifest. It wants some attention.